Okay, so while I'm in this state of consciousness and I have access to some of my memories and knowledge, I might as well get some things off my chest. So in Corey Good's testimony of cosmic disclosure with David Wilcock on Gaim TV a couple years ago, he stated the fact that there was a pharmaceutically produced substance that initiated or produced the effects of ascension, which is basically saying that it wakes up or uh, activates or regenerates the third eye, which in turn unlocks certain genetic codes that I don't know if they're fucking 12 strands of DNA. All I know is that when these codes are unlocked, like bending reality and dimensions and time and consciousness and travel through like traveling through existence, stuff like that. So like abilities of telepathy and telekinesis, and also like psychic warfare uh, tactics were produced using this. Basically to induce an abilitied state. Um, so I was one of the individuals who had access to that substance. Um, it was a part of a project. Um, yeah, it was a project. Um, so in that's how I got involved in this. Unknowingly, of course, until after it wasn't like I was chosen or anything. Like I made the choice to go see a healthcare professional, and it just so happened that these course of events, stuff started happening. Um, it started off. Uh, it started off um, great because it was. I didn't know what was going on, but I I didn't have the words for what was going on, but I knew how to operate it, and so I did. Um, and so I basically went from program or like very low conscious level of vessel with like the equivalent of a dormant soul shard, like dormant DNA. Basically like running your mill average, not very intelligent um, guy. I mean intelligent enough to like graduate high school and go to college, um, and like get a job and shit. But after taking the substance, it completely changed it changed everything for me. Um, I understood more. I could process more. Um, I, this is what it started with information I was interested in and learning those things, and then it turned into like instinctual information, stuff that I was reading about myself in my own genome, with a heightened state of mental capacity, because that's what this did. It produced an increase of like processing power. It stimulated. It was a catalyst. So while not knowing what I was getting into, um, like I literally started ascending myself, and I because of what I'm made of, even though I didn't know it then, or what was dormant inside me. Um, damn it, I'm starting to lose it. Um, so there are certain people who hold the knowledge that certain occults have perverted. Um, the people who hold the knowledge don't need the people or like the ritual holders to initiate them into like the abilities that they already have access to just by knowing themselves. So uh this woke me up to a lot more than just like clicking into society and like wanting to become a productive member of society, because that's how it started. And I became a very productive member of society, a workaholic, if you will, with the intention of like becoming a pillar of basically just becoming successful. But as I continued uh, with this unbeknownst program, the information began to change. Well, my awareness began to evolve. My awareness went from mundane social uh, achievements of success to the discovery of truth, knowledge, and power, mainly about myself, in which I did. I got like 3/4 of the way through what you could call like a personal soul, like revealing of oneself. Like it was like me and God sat down, and God was like, hey, this is what you were made with, because you made this choice and activated it. This is what you're becoming, and because you can perceive this conversation, and because it's like this, um, there are. It was like the universe led me to something bigger than myself. Even though I thought, I don't know, I knew my intelligence was increasing. I knew I was becoming more aware of things, and then that just evolved out of society's trained perception of the world and into the truth of this world. And so I got like 3/4 of the way through basically discovering myself in the application of certain ascended abilities that one has access to when they ascend. You basically connect to like anything you want. You have the opportunity to connect to anything, anything you can conceive, and basically process and not make sense of it, but find the truth in it. And you turn into this. You basically turn into whatever the fuck you want. As you, it's you guiding your own evolution. Um, this took 2 months, and then something happened. Something that I want to say it wasn't planned. It was so I basically so th- I got 3/4 of the way of like evolving myself and knowing of like exactly what I was doing, and then was met with certain attention that that made me aware of like what I was, what I was really accessing and what I was really into, and like what was going on. Like it was the realization of like a very advanced remote, I would say black budget covert operation, um, and like the degree of compartmentalization actually what is it? It provides it's provided degrees of innocence for like the people involved, because like I could tell that the doctor had no idea. It was interesting because I had meetings with him after certain, like basically after my mind was erased. But I apparently I well, so learning certain abilities, you learn how to affect things that aren't in your immediate reality, and so I started to. The more you learn, the more you affect, and so I caught attention that way, and yeah, that started my journey that's led me to here, and that was 7 years ago. Um, so I walked this path before, um, and got 3/4 of the way through, and basically had my mind erased, and my soul like ripped from my body. Like I remember, like I have the memory of my soul being pulled, like disintegrated out of my body, and then I was shot. Like my consciousness was like this. I don't know. I was basically. I don't know. I'm still. I have a strong feeling that it produced a catalyst of a remembrance of a memory of like my first arrival to this planet, which was non-terrestrial. That's my soul. But my body was born in 1989, and all this happened for me at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. So for me, this was like the apocalypse, because that's when the apocalypse program was being ran through society. And that ties into like why my mind was erased, because I basically caught the attention of oh man. So all these secret cults have like a head, and this head is like extremely secretive. Like the level of compartmentalization, like even the heads of the organizations have trouble in rubbing shoulders with the head. Anyways, so like I apparently I had a few tricks up my sleeve that caught the attention of not just very powerful people, but the powerful people. And they basically offered me something in a very unique way, and I denied it. And because of my denial, because I did not partake, and because I witnessed, enough of what they wanted me to partake in, they couldn't. My logical explanation is they couldn't have someone like me talking about what they saw to the public because of, what's happening now, like a dismantling of the power structure, starting with the anonymous source, which is a technology that is incomprehensible, not in a negative way, like you just got to learn about it, be told about it. Yeah, so yeah, and then after that, so like I remember like my mind being erased. I remember going insane. Like I remember being insane. It's like all I had was a pair of eyes and the remnant of something greater than myself, but I could not remember. There was no, like I had the visual sight of the events that took place, and like in my mind I could go to the places and see the things that I saw, but I couldn't access the awareness that I attained because it was literally being disintegrated and like eaten by a mechanism. Like this AI it's not living, and that's part of it's created to induce a reaction, and it's created as like it's a herd. It's a herding protocol that's gone haywire basically. I don't know where the fuck it came from, but it's here, and I have plenty of experience with it, as these recent videos have shown. Like, basically, these videos on this channel, other than the very first one I posted, came from results of, like, one-on-one psychic warfare, of, like, me finally pulling enough of me out of where I know my mind, or my soul, was taken, and, yeah, my foot's falling asleep now, so it's hard to focus. But anyways, after that, it was just 7 years of me doing my best to operate as normal as possible, and also following the little like bits of awareness that I could call upon to basically just follow the breadcrumbs to this point in my life. But there's a lot more I'm not talking about, because that was just like the beginning. And there's a lot more I have disclosed in a way, but I'm not ready to disclose it with this new information, because I was kept in this suspended animation of like egos, an egoic manipulated fantasy of I don't know, like whatever the fuck the AI wanted me to think I was doing. But in turn, I also, like, I accepted certain programs and protocols that would allow me to remain in a guiding light. Like, I wouldn't go too far off to one side or the other, but these were seemingly non-existent because of the state of consciousness or lack of consciousness that I was struggling to maintain over these past 7 years. So I intended to send a message to my future self in this, and saying that tonight's course of events, and me like literally coming out of the simulator and like witnessing my soul like speak through my body, like giving my mind a break and getting it on camera. Anyways, so like after that, like it's still not over. There's still quite a bit of influence. So like I'm telling my future self that this me now has already like basically ran the most successful operation he's ran yet, in like attaining the knowledge that he lost, and also having an aware conscious recognition of psychic attacks. And basically, so my realization after tonight's course of events, so even though I pulled more of my soul memory back from this fucking simulator, doesn't mean that there's still influence, because there is. Like afterwards, like I think I talked about it, but it's like a presence. It's an encoded message, like specifically made for like that person, and it's like it uses that person's energy, and so it's like because of that, the body or whatever, there's no filter for it. Like it just immediately accepts it, and it's a command, and it runs in the mind as a belief. In 3D world, it's a belief that cannot produce results, but the manipulated false fourth dimensional state of belief that's like forced upon a person, like you're forced to think of this, like you're forced to have this belief as knowledge, no matter how many times it does not produce results in the repetition of application. So it's like the repetitive erasing of one's mind. I will say that like I chose to go through every bit of this because that's part of my mission here, and like my remembrance and shit. This whole operation and like humanity's awakening has been planned and orchestrated and manipulated and paused and stopped and reignited and shit, even worlds ended for this planet to be where it's at now. So I don't know what that was, but that was interesting. So yeah, future me, you have notes, you have contingencies to induce a checkpoint of, I guess, attained memory before you leave the house tomorrow, or at least try to. And you've also written down the fact that it's not over. There is still small but effective false light psychic commands being sent my way. It's helpful to know that this is basically just so it's me up against this automated process. There is no form of consciousness behind it. The only fear that's created is the stealing of my consciousness and then manipulation of it into something that I fear, and then that being received or sent to me. That's the only way it can induce fear. But once you know that it's a fucking mechanism, hopefully that's like a memory that I can use to maintain this three-dimensional state of consciousness. There's no other higher states of consciousness other than like 3D consciousness, because this is it. This is the reality that matters. This is the 3D reality that we're all in this fucking physical body. That we all have the same, like everybody's been gotten to. Everybody's been in the fucking simulator. Everybody's had their mind fucking erased. Like everybody's in this same boat, and they just don't fucking know it. And it's a choice. Like the choice to know is not an easy one. I showed myself what I was really made of. Yeah, it's like there's a magnitude of seriousness. Um, this involves the value of life and the upgrade of it.